This week was a bit unconventional, a little out of our style, but we figured it out. And so, the intro will also be unconventional. Why was it abnormal, you might ask? I'm glad you asked. We're a bit short-staffed. You see, a third of the team members that are on site here located on the premises of Ozark Fence got sick. They had an illness pass through that shall not be named because YouTube gets weird when you mention it. But anyways, we're pretty short-staffed, and a lot of us had to pitch in unusual or unconventional ways. One of the people that were sick, Braden, didn't even check with us. The linchpin to this show, he was gone. So, Matt grabbed a camera, pitched in, did a little bit of his own video work, you might say. The format's going to be a little bit different this week, but I think you're going to like it.
So, I'm out here today in the shop. I just got the work order in. We've got a commercial job that we're going to be plating some posts and putting a double drive gate together. This particular gate's going to have a nationwide lockable drop rod that we're going to attach to one side, and then we're also going to be welding a lockbox to the other so that they can go back and put a doorknob into this lockbox and make sure that this gate is real secure. Stick around. Stay tuned. Tune in, baby. Yeah, we're right here, baby. All right, what do we got here, right? All right, yeah. Lockbox, drop rod, boom, baby. So here we are at the end of day one. We had a lot of things going on today, so I wasn't able to get the gates made, but I did get all the posts plated for the job. Booyah! So here we are, day two. We're going to be building the gates today. I've got a single walk gate to make, and then I've got a double drive gate that we're going to be adding a commercial lockable drop rod and a lock box on the other leaf. So now that we got the gate made, it's time to put on this drop rod. As you can see with this drop rod, it has a backing plate and it's meant to be bolted into whatever gate you're gonna put it on. I think we're gonna weld it on. That way it's nice and sturdy. And then it has a little piece to come in here and be able to put a padlock on it. And at least keep this leaf from being able to open. The other side's gonna have a lockbox, and it's going to attach to this one, and it's gonna be rad. Totally rad, bro.
Well, the gate's done, and I think you'll agree with me, turned out great. Now, Braden did get better. He's in fact back. And he came back just in time to take a look around the place. Because one of the things I hear from you guys is that while you see Ozark fence in clips and spurts, you haven't seen the whole place. It's got an interesting story. I think you're going to like it.
Hey, what's up? What are the chances you happen to stop by on a Saturday when no one's here but me? What? You'd like a tour of the place? Well, sure, come on in. So first and foremost, we find ourselves in Candace's domain. Now, Candace typically handles retail, wholesale, a little bit of e-commerce. If you've bought fence fittings from Ozark Fence or ozfence.store, you've likely dealt with Candace. We'll come on in this way. Just off of Candace's desk, you have Jim's office. Now, Jim, my dad, handles our commercial sales. The most notable thing about Jim's office is a flat screen TV. Now, Jim, like I said, handles the commercial side of the house, so we got him a big flat screen, so he doesn't have to keep like 55-gallon drums of plans around anymore. Simply pulls them up on the computer. Now, 55-inch screen is just about the right dimensions for a full set of plans, so he can see them in near real size. It's actually just a little bit larger than a set of plans. Yeah, so, you know, Black Friday, major online retailer, $250. It's actually cheaper than a lot of the computer monitors you're going to see here. Kind of blew my mind. All right, so through Candace's office, this is kind of what we call the ops room. We've got kind of a central printer for Sarah and my dad for Candace. This is generally where the crews come in the morning to get their marching orders. Also bring them back in the afternoon, let us know how their day went. Conveniently, right off the ops room is Sarah's office. Now, Sarah handles the residential side of the house. Now, the notable thing about Sarah's office, it also is also our bulk storage for other stuff. So she doesn't necessarily have a soda addiction. This is just where we happen to put our soda. Most notably, though, is the pass-through window to my dad's office. Lets them kind of have free-flowing conversations back and forth, because on a lot of their projects, they tend to share crews, or they'll have one crew start the job, another crew finish the job, or Sarah will use some of my dad's crews, or vice versa. So the window, while already here, was a pretty nice touch. Next, we have my domain. So the thing I like about my office is it's pretty centrally located here on the property. As you can see, I can go forward to interact with the office staff, whether it's Sarah, Jim, or Candace. I can also head out this door to the stain shop that we will be seeing momentarily. I can also head out the other way, head down the hallway. I can be up to YouTube land or down into the fulfillment center, or I can even be out to the fabrication shop or the lot. This room is just about as central as it gets. So it happens to be my office. Now, the nice thing about it is it also happens to come complete with a bathroom. So I wasn't actually sure how much I was going to use this bathroom, specifically the shower over my shoulder, but it's kind of nice to be able to work a hard day, get all sweaty and just generally not presentable, but take a quick shower and to be to a dinner meeting or a board meeting without having to travel the half-hour home and back. Now, we had to remodel this room because of some damage from previous occupants, so we went with the natural choice, orange. All right, so right off my office, we're going to head down the hall. Now, the one interesting fact about this property is it was at one time a house and then a courtyard and a barn, specifically a milking parlor. Now, we're not sure exactly when the house was built, but we know it was before 1944. And the reason why we know this is when we were remodeling Sarah's office, we found an interesting news article hidden in the wall that dates June 8th, 1944. Now, it's talking about some interesting milestones in America's history. It's a pretty interesting read, but we've got pretty good confidence that since this article was found in the wall, it stands to reason that the house was there prior to the article being written in 1944. Now we're entering in the first of the rooms that have had multiple rolls over the last few months. So actually the guys that we bought this building from lived here for a time. And when they lived here, this served as their living room. The room next to us that we're getting ready to see served as a full kitchen. Anyway, when we moved in, first we used it as a conference room. It was a really nice space for having private conversations, but also we could pull in team members from all over the property pretty easily. It's pretty centrally located, similar to my office. But the team grew. We recently brought on a bookkeeper / HR manager who needed a private office. So, not having any more offices available, we made one from the conference room. We also have another office space next to her, which is currently unused, but you never know. The team continues to grow. This desk also has the direct view to our big screen TV that was used for presentations, that sort of thing. We're not really sure where this TV is going to go. It currently houses enough seats for roughly 6 people to all have a powwow, if they so desired. Now, when we first bought the building, I was not really sure how we were going to utilize fully a full kitchen, but we found a way. So if you watch the channel at all, you know we love having luncheons and business meetings on the last Friday of the month. We call it Final Friday. So this kitchen allows us to prepare those meals. Also, it gives our team members an excellent place to prepare breakfast or lunch during the day without having to just eat a cold sandwich. They can come heat it up, or they've been known to cook meals here as well. Now, Joe, why is there a 6-foot deep freeze sitting in the middle of your kitchen? It's a great question. I'm glad you asked. This is an idea that has come from a good friend of mine, Matt Warner, Empire Netting and Fence, Waverly, Nebraska. If you don't know Matt, you need to. Since Matt's family owns a Century Farm that raises beef cattle, he regularly buys a few beef cattle and processes them to give out to his people as an employee benefit, a team member perk. So we've taken a similar approach. Now, my family doesn't raise beef cattle, unfortunately, so I had to buy them from a friend of mine who does produce beef cattle. We bought a couple steers. They were dropped off at the processor on Monday, so here in the next couple of weeks, we'll have roughly 1,000 pounds of beef to distribute to our team. Now, the way it's going to work is the team members will bring in coolers of their own to take beef home, but whatever beef isn't taken home will wind up in this cooler so that later on, if they do need some more beef, they obviously have access to it. But more importantly, if they have a family member in need, or if they know someone in their community that is in need of a meal, they always have free access to it. Matt Warner, thank you. I appreciate this idea. So just outside the kitchen, we find ourselves at the first diverging path in our adventure. Do we go right up to YouTube land, or left down to the fulfillment center, the warehouse, stain shop, that sort of thing? Write in the comments now which way you'd like for us to go and choose your own adventure. Great, let's go up to YouTube land. Now, as I mentioned, the guys that were here before lived here for a time, so we're actually in what was their living space, which is why you're getting ready to see a full shower, 2 sinks, and a toilet room. Now, you may think this is a full-size shower. It certainly looks like one, but no, you're wrong. It's actually perfectly suited to store soundboards. If you watch the YouTube channel at all, this room should look fairly familiar. We shoot our YouTube live shows Saturday, 10 to 12:30 Central in one corner, but also if you're watching our Week in the Life series, this black backdrop probably looks familiar. This is where we film the Talking Heads. Onward! Now the back room up here, what was their walk-in closet, we're not really sure what to do with it. The current version of it is a photography room for getting really nice pictures done of the fittings that we sell on ozfence.store. Shameless plug. But yeah, we're not really sure what to do with it. Right now, this is working out, but who knows what to do in the future. It also houses my unhealthy obsession with sports cards. Now, we continue the tour. So I didn't note it before, but I'll say it now. We were actually up in the hay loft of the original barn back in the day. So now we find ourselves, I don't know what part of the milking parlor this would be, or the barn this would be. So if you watch the Week in the Life, this may look like the fulfillment room, and it was for a time. Now, since we took away the conference room, which was also the impromptu break room, we needed another break room for guys to sit and eat their lunches. So this is now the impromptu break room. Needs a little love, needs a little fancying up, if you will, but it's a good step in the right direction. Aha! You have found yourself at another fork in the roads. Do you go one way, out through e-commerce land in the stain shop, or the other way and find yourself at the fabrication shop and the material yard? You decide. Great! Let's head off to the fulfillment room and the stain shop. We also find ourselves in the warehouse. I probably should have started there. This is where we keep full bags and box quantities of all the fittings. Right now, this is kind of the commercial gate. We've got bulldog hinges, 180-degree hinges. We've got some cantilever wheels, that sort of thing. Generally, like I said, full box quantity. When we get to the fabrication shop, you'll see what we do with less than quantity, less than bag, less than box. More fitting storage. So now we're exiting what used to be the barn. This used to be a courtyard, and then this was like a little chicken roost, chicken coop, I don't know. Now we use it for box storage, where we've got, I think, 5 or 6 different size boxes. So no matter what you order from ozfence.store, we've got the correct box to ship it to you. So this is the latest version of the fulfillment center. The guys lovingly call it Shipland 2.0. Yeah, so this is where all the orders come through. So that if you've ordered a fitting from ozfence.store, it came through here. So we process orders. The orders will be printed off. We'll go grab them, box them. Then we can load them up and take them to the shipping store. So one of the features of the fulfillment room being larger is we've got more table space, which means we can process larger orders all in one spot without having to take up multiple carts and be in each other's way. So we can have up to 3 people processing orders at a time. We can also have a couple people using the heat shrink oven. Probably has a better name than that. But this ensures that, so what we do is we heat shrink fittings down. Similar to this, so the fittings are in heat shrink so that we don't lose nuts and bolts. Now the thing about this is the heat shrink, while it's tough, it can become brittle if it gets really hot or really cold. So then we'll go ahead and put the fittings in a poly bag. So it's kind of a dual layer of protection. That way we're doubly sure the nuts and bolts will be getting to your doorstep because it's heat shrinked and then in a poly bag. We also include a label depending on which state we send it to. Some states require a label that says you could choke on this, so we go ahead and apply it to all the fittings. Now, onto the stain shop. Before we get to the stain shop, I'll talk for a minute. So we've got this little kind of a protected courtyard area. It's fenced off and private, the gate's lockable and all that. So this is a nice area to store trucks and trailers. It also right now stores some of our pre-stained fencing material. We've got a couple orders here ready to be picked up, or when we bring back excess pre-stained lumber, we'll keep it for later. So now we find ourselves in the stain shop. This is where we pre-stain all the lumber that we'll either sell retail wholesale or that we'll go out and install for on the service side. Now, being able to dry our own lumber was a massive game changer for us. So what you'll see is we'll take the lumber in, we'll bring it in as palletized lumber that you're familiar with, but we'll go ahead and put stickers on it. These stickers are essentially ripped down pickets, cold pickets, but this allows us to push air through the entire wood column and try to dry the thing as one whole unit. Rather than if it's bundled, usually the core of that will still come out dripping wet, even if the bundle's been here for a month, month and a half. So moving to drying strips was a game changer for us. Thank you. Stain and Seal University's Facebook group is where we found this idea from, I believe, Caleb and Kenny. Now we also have the pre-stain tank. Again, if you watch the Week in the Life series videos, this will look familiar. Dalton's kind of our go-to stain guy. Don't look too closely at the tank. This is version 1.0, and soon we'll be reworking the tank to be more usable, a little bit more efficient. Up above me, we've got our stain bucket loft. So we bring in, for our pre-stain, we typically bring stain in by the barrels, by the 55-gallon drums. But for our retail customers, we also bring it in by the bucket. It's a little bit thin up there. We're waiting for our next delivery. The nice thing about Stain Seal Experts is when you make an order, orders show up in a day or two. So this isn't going to be that low for long. Now, just to get you really good and turned around and confused at exactly where we are on the property, we're getting ready to go back through my office. One of the key benefits, like I said, was it's centrally located on the property. We cut through my office to get to the fabrication shop. Now, one of the nice features of the property that came with it is this nice covered parking area. Now, we use it to store our trailer under cover. Now, it's an enclosed trailer, so technically it probably doesn't have to be stored under cover, but it's going to make this wrap last quite a bit longer. It also gives us a place to store the concrete that's dry, out of the way, but easily accessible to the team member and crews. All right, so now we find ourselves in the fabrication shop. Again, if you watch the series, this whole thing looks familiar. So in these racks, we have our less than quantity. So typically less than box, less than bag. So that meaning that if we have a retail client that needs to buy 2 or 3 inch and 3/8 dome tops, we can easily access them without having to open up bags and boxes. We pretty much have a pretty complete line of fence fittings. If we don't carry it, if it's not on the website, we can typically get it within a week, within a few days. But we've got everything in galvanized and black coated. We've kind of got them somewhat separated by function. So post fittings will be roughly the same place. Gate fittings will be roughly in the same place, separated by galvanized and black coated. We also have the ability to build large gates. Now this obviously isn't a super large gate. This is probably, I don't know, it's probably a 25 to 30 foot, looks like it's a roll gate probably. Yeah, but we can build up to a 53 foot gate. If we build it sideways, and we can just barely fit a 53 foot gate in here. We can build it in two sections, transport it on site, finish the fabricating on site, basically join or marry the two sides together. It also gives us secure storage for our forklift and our Bobcat, keeps them out of the weather, which in the wintertime means that this beast is a lot easier to start. You're also not having to sit in a wet or cold seat first thing in the morning. Pretty nice little perk. Now we find ourselves on our last stop of the adventure, which is our material lot. Now, when we bought this new facility, we didn't buy much land. We bought more buildings than we did land. So we still have roughly the same carrying capacity as far as inventory goes. We're trying to be better about making it more efficient. If you watch some of the recent videos, you've seen us building pipe racks to try to get the pipe up out of the air. Basically make more room for more lumber, more chain link. It's a work in progress. I don't think I've ever met a fence guy that had enough laydown lot. They always want more lot or more graveled in their lot, that sort of thing. For us, it is a nice sized lot, I totally understand, but it's probably half as big as what we really need it to be. Right now, with this configuration, we can probably only fit about 14 to 16 truckloads of material, whether it's pipe or wire, lumber, etc. I'd like to be able to store more so that if we have buying opportunities that present themselves, we've got plenty of laydown lot to put those in. Now, before you leave, let's take a walk and I'll show you where Ozark Fence was prior to this building. Now, we currently have a tenant in the office and shop. It happens to be one of my best friends, but still, we're going to protect his privacy a little bit by not barging in. But suffice to say, the new facility is a large improvement over the old facility. We went from roughly 1,200 square foot to about 13,500 square feet in the course of about a week. It was a big improvement, but as you've seen, we're out of space. We could probably use a bit more.
Not your typical video. Didn't go the way we thought it would, but I think you'll agree it did okay. Let me know in the comments below. I love hearing back from you guys. Love interacting with you guys in the chat. Until next week, Joe Everest, the fence expert, reminding you that good fences make good neighbors. I'll see you around.